Hi, somebody asked recently if there was a way of doing something like this. I don't know if you can see it very well because it wasn't a very good image that was shown to me. But basically this is vinyl. It says sew on. It's got some like flowers and shapes around it. And it was on the front of a sewing machine. And there's a couple of ways of doing it. You could find these shapes and auto trace them in canvas and make them into cutting files, or you could draw them and scan them through your machine using ScanNCut data and make cutting files for them. But since we've had the Brother font converter over the last few weeks, to me, as soon as I saw this, straight away I just thought dingbats. So this is going to be the second video in this little dingbat project series. The first one I posted last week and it was a dingbat shoe shape card, so if you've not seen that, I'll try and leave an information card on the top right of this video for you to go and have a look at that. So I'm going to show you today how using dingbats you can make something similar to this that you can then cut in vinyl. Now, I get all my fonts from this site called Font. I don't get paid and I'm not sponsored to promote this site. It's just my preferred font site that I've used for many years. You may have your own, that's perfectly okay. But I'm just going to show you how I found the dingbat fonts on this site. So when you come to defont.com, all the fonts are in categories, and I have mentioned this in previous videos. There's a section called dingbats, and if this is the first time you've watched any of my videos and you don't know what a dingbat is, basically it's a little picture that's assigned to a letter of the alphabet or a number on your keyboard that you can use to make a cutting file. So in the dingbats here, I went to the category called shapes. There's all sorts. There's alien, animals, ruins, fantasy, horror games, all sorts. But I went to this one called shapes. In here you can see that there are several pages. It looks about probably 14 pages. Now I have to admit I didn't look through every single page, but basically what I did, I scrolled through these designs. If there was something that I quite liked the look of, I stopped on it and had a look at it and downloaded it and saved it onto my desktop, and I just worked my way through several of these pages and found a font. Now I'm just going to try and find one that I actually did download if I can. So here's one that I like the look of, Vintage Decorative Signs 5. So basically I just clicked on it and then it shows me which little picture is assigned to which letter. And some of the pictures are assigned to uppercase letters and some of the pictures are assigned to lowercase letters. So that's another thing you have to bear in mind with dingbats. Some dingbats don't have many pictures inside them as this. Some only have a few. So basically what I did as I scrolled through, I made a note of the name of the font and I made a note of the letter relating to the little picture that I thought I would want to use. So in this particular instance, I would want to use the lowercase a, which gives me this design here. So I'll just go back to the themes. And then what I did, I knew that this was one of the dingbats I wanted to download, so I downloaded it and installed it. And I made a little note that with this particular font, it was the lowercase letter a that I would probably want to use. And I just continued to scroll through all the pages on this particular theme of dingbats, which was shapes, until I got a random amount of fonts. And the fonts that I decided to use in the end were Janda Flower Doodle, Janda Happy Day, which was for the text, and a font called Nymphette. Now, I'll leave you the names of these fonts in the description box below the video, and I'll leave the link to this site actually on the screen so you can go and have a look for them yourself. But, you know, you just scroll through and find the ones that you want to make work for your particular project. So I'm going to close the font down and I'm going to come to Canvas and I'm going to start a new project. So once I've got a new blank project on my page, basically I then opened up the Brother ScanNCut font converter and I made the cutting files, and I've got them all here in a folder, but I'll just show you briefly how I did it. So for the Janda flower I used a lowercase letter C. So in the box here I just typed a letter C, just lowercase, and then I scrolled down and I found the Janda flower font that I've already installed, and it's there, Janda Flower Doodles, and then I previewed it, and that's one of the flowers I think that I chose, or it might be actually a letter E. Let me try a different letter and then preview. Yeah, it's actually a lowercase e, and that's the flower that I wanted to use. So then I just clicked save, I gave it a name, I called it Janda Flower, and I put it on my desktop, and then I said save, and it appeared on my desktop. What I'm going to do now, I've got a folder with them all in already here. I'm going to bring them on to my mat and show you how I would put a project together like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the SVG icon. I'm going to go and navigate to that folder that's on my desk. I've just called it Dingbat Fonts Project 2. And I'm going to open the Janda flower and say OK. And that's brought the flowers. I actually saved two, but I didn't use this one, so I'll delete it. So that's the first one. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to open the next one, which is the Happy Day font, which is for the word. And that's my sew on word. Oops, just undo that. I'm going to group that. Right click and group. And put that down here out of the way. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to open the next one, which is Nymphette, I think. Yeah, that was a scroll. And Vintage, which I think is the kind of, yeah, that's the kind of laurel leaf type thing. And then I also decided to use an old favourite, which is Sarus Flower Ding, and I typed a couple of letters for those, which from memory I think were a capital I and a lowercase t, and that gave me those. So now obviously I don't know the size of area that original design I showed you here. I don't know how big an area that covered, but if it's the front of a sewing machine I wouldn't have thought it was very big. So as a guide I'm going to get myself a square, and this is what I'm going to use as a guide. Obviously you would measure the area that you're putting your vinyl on, and you could make a box or a rectangle or a square or a circle or whatever it is to that approximate size, but I'm just doing guesswork here because I don't know how big, as I say, that design was. So I'm just going to use this. This won't be cut, it's just for me to work with here. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get my words, and obviously straight away I can see that they're going to be quite big to go in there. And you can see here that they measure 1.9 inches high by over 4 inches wide. So I'm going to squash it down a bit and probably drag it up a bit just to give you know, to make it look a reasonable size. But again, you can size your project however you want. It's just the process of making the project that I'm trying to get over in this video. I'm going to ungroup it, and the first thing I'm going to do is fill it with a colour. I'm going to fill it with red, give it a red outline and a red fill, and straight away you can see that I've lost some of the definition in the words again. It's still there if I take the colour out, as I explained in the last video, but just to make it a little bit easier to work with, I sometimes like to work with a colour fill. So I'm going to select the letter and do subtract, and that brings the definition back, and I'm just going to do it on each letter. I did cover this when I first did the you know, the getting to know the Brother ScanNCut font converter. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write, I'm going to fill it with colour again. Just to save some time, and I'm going to group it because I'm not going to weld this, so it's not really vital. And then I'm going to group this together and then go back to fit to mat, and then I can see it. So this is going to be the word. Then this particular design I'm going to use around the edges. Again, I like to work with a colour, and also this may help if you're going to have to layer this design up, because what you can do, you can group by colour, which I'll show you in a minute, and then you'll be able to cut it all together and line it all up. So I'm going to fill this one with a kind of a pale beige colour, and I'm going to position this and I'm going to rotate it. Now this might be too big, I might have to make it smaller. Send the box to the back. Just going to move that out of the way for a minute and then rotate it. Okay, now I'm going to select it, duplicate it, and rotate the duplicate because I want to put one on the other side as well. Possibly something like that. I'm just going to put the box back over to see if it still fits, and it does. And then I'm just going to carry on building the design. So I've got a Sarus flower here that I'm going to fill with green, and I'm going to position that up here. And then this one, I think I might also want to cut in the same green, so I'm going to fill that one. And you can see I've lost the middle, so I'm going to go to edit, subtract. It's still there, I'm not welding this, so I don't need to do this step. It's just that if I'm working with a fill, I like to see what the design's going to look like. So I'm going to put that one there. Then this one was one of the other flower dings, so with this one I'm going to fill this one with this, maybe a darker shade of this. This was a light fawn, I used that one. I might use the next one up. And again, I've lost the definition, so I'm going to try edit, subtract and see if I get it back. And then you can see here, this one's 0.88 by 0.94, so I might just resize it. Obviously be careful when you're resizing these, because if you're cutting it in vinyl, you know, some of these, especially on something, if I just zoom in, especially on some of these sections here, they could be quite thin. And I would just, basically that is how I would just, you know, put together a design, something like this. And you can play about with it and you can resize it. I don't want to spend, you know, a lot of time on it. But what I would do now, anything that I'm cutting in the same colour, so this and this, I would hold the shift key down and I'd group them two together. And then the greens, I'd do the same. So I'd select one, hold my shift key down, select the other and right click and group. This one is a colour of its own and the red is already selected as a group anyway. I'll just go back to fit to matte. And then I just check that it all would fit, you know, within the size that I want to use. You could leave the square box around it if you're cutting it in vinyl, because that would act as like your bounding box for you. So when you've got a big piece of vinyl on your mat, you could cut this square, peel that away, and it would leave these easier for you to pick up. What I would also do now is I'd separate these groups. I didn't actually use this flourish, so I'll get rid of it. But I would separate all these sections and cut them separately. I'd give it a name, save it and then download it, and then you can cut this in red vinyl, this in green, this in this colour, this in this colour, and you could layer it all up on your project. So that's just an alternative way of using dingbats to make another project. As I said at the beginning, you could find shapes like this and scan them and trace them, or you could draw them and trace them. But sometimes there's a dingbat available that just makes life a whole lot easier. So I hope you found that helpful. Please give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Please subscribe to my channel so that you're notified when I upload a video. Don't forget to have your notifications turned on, which is generally the bell icon within YouTube. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.